mind of what I want. I know that Debbie likes, Nikki has told me that Debbie likes to have light pink roses. Let's see. Usually in groups of 3s and 5s is the best. So we're going to do a placement with a placeholding dot. We're going to go 1, 2, 3. Make that our base and then build around it. If you want the lighter color to be on the outside edge, you start in the middle out. Whoops. If you want the opposite, flip your brush and start your way in. I'm going to use personally a mix of both. So each time I go and reload my brush. Let's see. We started with this critter first. So let's finish it out. So we're going to drag and drop. Drag. Fan it out real good. The harder you press, usually the better the result. Most leaves in nature, petals, pardon me, comes in groups of 3s and 5s. Maybe the good Lord likes odd numbers. I don't know. He likes odd people. So we're going to just wiggle. Wiggle it just a little bit. Pull it in. Wiggle it. Pull it in. Just touch it down. Whoop. Sometimes you make little boo-boos like that. All right. It's coming along. Please don't be hard on yourself and try and make it perfect. It just ain't gonna happen. Take the pressure off. Enjoy yourself a little bit. I like the pale pink the best, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish this one out with the pinks on the outside edge. Pick it up. Keep your placement in mind. You know, you got a bundle of 3. Think you got to leave a little bit of space for the leaves and whatnot, the stems. I did mention space just now. I'd like to talk about that. So we have positive space, which is this. Whatever your subject is working on. The negative space is the area in between. And actually, in hindsight, negative space is just as important as positive space. All right, I'm pretty happy with that first batch. So we're going to continue on and let that layer dry. And then while we're doing that, we're going to make a couple little extra little well, for lack of a better term, placeholders. But these are going to be for the bunches that spring out. And sometimes in nature, you don't get a full perfect flower. You just get a couple little halfsies. So I'm going to alternate my halfsies. Make a couple petal ones here. So maybe they touch. Maybe they don't. Maybe those two are fighting. Maybe these two have already made up and they're kissing. There you go. Let's see. I would like the final one to be here. All right, cool. So I'm just going to set that brush aside. Leave it for later. And then I'm going to take a smaller brush. And I predominantly use 3 brushes. So I use a large, a medium, and a script liner. Script liner is to get good and inky and draw, like you say, lines with. All right. So big set one aside, medium brush here. Get it good and wet. We're going to double load it. Just like we did the previous one. And tap off the excess paint a little bit. All right, as you can see, maybe double loaded a little bit on both sides. So dip it in the pink, dip it in the white, push it on the bowl really, or on your palette really good and clear it out. Okay, we're going to go inside of these. That's already been done, starting about 3/4 of the way through. And we're going to repeat the process all the way through. Looking good. We're going to make the inner petals. Push. Well, I like to say wiggle and push. Push, wiggle, push. Push, wiggle, push. Roses are easy. They really are. Luckily, they look so intricate and detailed. I wonder what the good Lord was doing on that day when he made roses, because he picked a winner. But anyway, this type of style of painting makes you seem like you did a whole bunch of work. And you did. It's a lot of love. But it's not as hard as you think it would be. You just got to try it a couple times. All right. Last inner set of petals. One. And it doesn't have to be exact. I really hope it's not. So let me tell you about the person this is for. Never met her before. Don't know nothing about her. So that ought to be quick. Her name's Debbie. And Debbie has gotten sick. Pretty sick. And we're believing for the best, hoping for the best, praying for the best. But they've only given her a few weeks to live. I know that's morbid and somber, and I'm sorry. But I also am a truth teller. So she went and got baptized. I love that. And she's spending her final time with her family. So we're going to gift this to her. This is the final step. You're going to do this. I make it a C and a U. I'll see you later. We'll see you later. So you're going to make a C. Drop right down inside of it and make a U. A C and a U. That's going to make the rose bud, the inner middle. Since the white paint's on the outside here, you're going to paint the white C and a U. Now, to mimic this one and this one, the pink's on the outside, so we're going to flip our brush and put the pink, a C and a U. A C and a U. All right. Sometimes you have to add a few extra little strokes just to close in those gaps. You can even pat it in with dots if you want. I like that. I'm going to add a couple of, whoop, dipped it in the wrong side. I'm going to add a couple of extra little rose kisses. Just for a little bit of content filler. One, like I said, groups of 2s and 3s. Starting to look like a little something here. 1, 2, maybe even flip it. 3. 1. Point some down. A C, a U, a C, a U, and a third one. Okay. And then finally, just because my composition is going a little off balance right here, I'm going to add a couple little extra spruces. Little fan brushes. Wiggle. Just drop and wriggle. All right. Sometimes you need to take a step back and look. See what needs a little bit more. What needs to be taken away. It can always be fixed. Ta-da! It's been less than 5 minutes. Let's wash that brush out. And we're going to put a little bit of 2 shades of, let's see. We're going to do a light green and a dark green. And I'm going to change paper plates here, just in case I have the temptation to dip back in the pink and white once my brush is bloated with the green. All right. Squeeze a little bit on. It doesn't take, but I mean, not even a dime size of paint. It goes a long way. I don't have a preference for paint. Sometimes, I stick to acrylics, but once in a while, I'll use glass paint, especially if I'm painting on windows or for business fronts. I really don't have a specific brand is what I'm trying to say. Whatever my mom has leftovers and she's given me that weekend that she's not painting with, that's my favorite. All right, we're going to double load our brushes again. Wipe off the excess. It's a good noise. Okay, brush is double loaded, light on one side, dark on the other. Leaves are a little bit different. So usually they grow, you want to say willy-nilly, but they kind of have a little common sense to them. So we're going to do a point, a point, a point, which right here specifically, if there's anything offshooting from it, that's where you're going to make a point. Those are once again placeholders. When you start a leaf, you're going to make a V. Bop, bop. That's all there is to that. Here's part of a V, V. Part of a V, finish it out. Bop, bop. So you made V's, right? And you're like, Holly, what in the world? Well, it's easy. Start from the inner point, and you're just going to wiggle, 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 point. Flip it around, repeat. Wiggle, 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 point. Leaf. You hate it? I hate that one. Go over it again. Wiggle, 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 point. There we go. I like to round it off a little bit. Make sure it touches your flower. Okay. Let's get some more. So we're going to start with our V. Wiggle and point. Once again. And 2 more to go. I put this on a black canvas because it's what I had handy, but I like it. I think it pops. Usually I use white. It's different. It's nice to change it up once in a while, isn't it? Okay. Let's see. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. That feels off to me. Let's try and do one more. A 5. There's your V. Touchdown. Wiggle, 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 point. Wiggle, 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 point. All right. Those are the bigger leaves. I'm going to change back over to this medium brush. Do the same thing. Load it with half light green, half dark green. Brush off the excess. Okay, cool. These are petals, buds, flowers, what have you. I try and put a connection of some kind to put them all in the family. Like these are like cousins, first, second, and third cousins. I try and make them all touch to aunts and uncles somewhere. So we have a touchdown, pop, a touchdown, pop. I do it to each and every one of them. And it helps if you say it, touchdown, pop. If you're in a hurry, you can do all the sides on the right and then scoot down and do all the ones on the left instead of turning your brush a million times. So there's that. We can continue that process. We're just about done. There's all the left ones. Which I actually think I ended up switching sides, didn't I, y'all? If there's anything to know about me, I have severe ADHD, I'll tell you what. Me staying focused longer than 10 minutes is a miracle. That's why my paintings are usually about 10 minutes. So we're going to go back to the other sides. And everywhere there's a petal or a flower, give them a little pop and a lock. Keep it uniform. Well, as uniform as flowers need to be. I like that they grow wild. Okay. About to finish out here. 3. I feel like I'm missing one. There she is. Pop, pop. And we'll get this big one. One more. Okay, so each one has 2. All right. My favorite part is right here. It's where you take the same brush, loaded, half and half, and you're just going to go crazy. Anywhere you want to put a little green leaf, put it. Boom, 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 boom. This is the funnest part. Sometimes if you make a mistake, you can cover it up with another leaf. That helps. I like to make mine drag and drop a little bit to think ahead of where the squiggles are going to be, the little tendrils, and the vines that connect them. And I always like to make mine a little bit more dramatic because that's me. I like a little bit of drama. Only in my art, though, not in real life. Kind of can't stand it. Okay. 1, 2, 3. That's looking good. Okay. I have one more tip as far as leaves go. If you happen to see one that is just not your jam, this one perhaps, it's a little muddy, you can go back over it as many times as you want. Even if your paint's already dry, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you want to fix it. Okay, cool. Looks good. Now, this last part is get your script liner, the inky stinky one. You're going to drag a whole bunch of water into your paint and just make it, like I said, inky, like wet ink. That's what I'm doing right now. Okay. It's just dripping off of there. Dripping off. Oh, and a bug. He thinks the flowers are real, doesn't he? You have to forgive me. I live out in the country and we got bugs. Okay. So take the inky paint and you're going to start from the inside and work your way out. Anywhere that them leaves touch, the giant ones first. 1, 2, your big placeholders, those 5, that's what we're going to connect first. Like I said, okay, so grandmas and grandpas have their kids. So these are the kids. Then the kids have grandkids. Those are the smaller leaves. We're going to do the kids first. So anywhere they are, make a line. Keep it simple. Keep it moving. They're going to connect it. In some way or shape or form, they're going to kiss that large flower. Somehow. Even if it's a long stroke, a short stroke, it doesn't matter. All those are connected. Now we're going to go to the next largest. Connect them back to the large flower. I like to have mine look like they're hugged. So here's a hug. Here's a hug. Another hug. Hugs, not drugs. Okay. And then lastly, pick up a little bit more inky water. Get inky. Runny. And then we're going to start connecting all the babies. And as you can tell, I like to scribble, scrabble, scrabble. I like to make tendrils. Just as long as they all connect, it doesn't matter where. Pop, pop. All right. Make sure they all get a little bit of love, though. That's the only thing. Every member of this little family needs a little bit of love. Don't leave any of them as a black sheep out in the world. All right. And just like family members, some are a little extra. All right. Anyway, I'm going to give this to Nikki to give to Debbie tomorrow. And at work. And hopefully it'll bring her a little bit of peace in the world. In a very bad time. Just to let her know that there's strangers out there and people thinking of her and praying with her and lifting her up. And probably the most important part to me is to sign your work each. Oh, just kidding. All right. Holly. All right. There you have it.